Welcome, and I'm glad you found me on my blog or YouTube channel, whatever the case may be. I'm here to tell my story, and whilst there are many downsides to social media today, there are also many positive aspects and advantages. 30 years ago, it was exclusively in the realm of journalists, some good, some bad, some downright evil, and authors to tell stories, whether in the form of biography, autobiography, memoir, or in the case of tabloid journalists, to publish vicious, cruel, and sensationalistic articles to sell more newspapers and magazines. Nowadays, it's possible to have a platform to tell one's story without it being twisted by the tabloid journalists. In the past, these journalists would invariably approach the doctor, who would be portrayed as the incompetent and heartless, money-grabbing fiend, with the questionable narrative of giving the doctor a fair right of reply. We all know that this is absolute nonsense, and they publish material which is flagrantly defamatory and damaging to the doctor's reputation, knowing full well that the laws of libel and defamation are woefully inadequate to protect a person. And that essentially they have carte blanche to publish whatever the hell they like, all in the interests of selling more newspapers and magazines. I find it interesting how people always say they don't believe what the media says and they don't take it seriously. But in my experience, they do. They believe every last word of it. Over the years, I've dated women. Often after the first or the second date, they would come out with something like, "I've Googled you," as if to say, "I've discovered the truth about you and what sort of person you are. And you're not sort of the person that I want to consort with." Of course, there are also instances where people I meet will listen to my story and are absolutely horrified when they hear the truth. At this stage of the telling of my story, I'm going to go through every single complaint lodged against me at the HPCSA and more, to give you an idea of my version of the story, which contrasts greatly with what you will read on sites such as IOL, the Sunday Times, and News 24. A good friend of mine recently told me about a remark made by a friend of hers, and this person was asking the question, but why does he want to tell his story? To what end? Well, I would have preferred to have left a legacy of having run a successful practice over many years with legions of happy patients and a good reputation. And I believe this is the case. I do have hundreds of successful operations and happy patients. But alas, the electronic tattoo is out there. And I don't want my grandchildren or great-grandchildren one day to Google me and find this grossly distorted account of what actually happened. If you've stalked me or researched me online, you would have found articles that are skewed very much in favor of the version of the so-called victims. Some of these victims, of course, have absolutely relished and basked in the media attention. What you are seeing is only the tip of the iceberg. And what is submerged, you know, that massive portion below the iceberg, below the surface, is a very dark and sinister story that very few people know about. The truth is, every word you read on the internet about me is the result of a carefully crafted and well-orchestrated witch hunt. And it amounts to a hate crime with the motive of revenge. You may say that I'm using hyperbole, but I'm sure you I'm not. My haters would kill me if they were 100% certain that they could get away with it, that's how deep their hatred and the enmity they bear towards me. For now, I'm only going to share the details of the pawns used in the game right now. And as of the filming of this video, it's certainly not prudent to expose the perpetrators of this crime. I'm guessing, hoping that in due course the universe will reveal the answer. The perpetrators will probably never be brought to book. But I know that there are people out there who are privy to the actual story, perhaps even the pawns in the game. If you're one of those people and your conscience is bugging you because you witnessed this terribly distorted story and character assassination, feel free to get in touch with me. If nothing else, for me to tell the whole story and to fill in the blanks. If once I've posted all the videos on the matters, you're not suspicious of the process and that this was an egregious miscarriage of justice, then I suggest you are perhaps somewhat naive and gullible. You may, of course, after hearing my version of events, decide that I am indeed a heartless and incompetent surgeon who set out every day to hurt people, and that it was completely justified to destroy my reputation and to have my livelihood taken away from me forever. He got what was coming to him, you may say. Perhaps you won't. You draw your own conclusions. I hope that you find my story inspiring and interesting, and feel free to contact me. My email is on the screen right now.